Queen Zarathu's crystalline form trembled as she gazed upon the impossible sight before her. Through the massive viewport of her throne chamber, a battered human vessel approached the Nexari homeworld, its hull scarred by plasma burns and meteor impacts. But it wasn't the ship that made her hearts race. It was the small figure visible through the cockpit, waving frantically with 4 delicate arms. Kira ... The queen's voice resonated through the chamber like wind chimes in a storm. Her daughter had been missing for 3 cycles, presumed dead after her scout ship had been caught in a stellar storm near the outer rim. The search fleets had found only debris and radiation. Yet here she was, alive, accompanied by one of the galaxy's most feared species. A human. The docking bay erupted in chaos as the ship touched down. Royal guards raised their energy weapons, their carapaces shifting from blue to aggressive crimson. Zarathu descended from her throne, her towering form casting prismatic shadows across the polished floor. The ship's hatch hissed open, and Princess Kirinol stumbled out, her once pristine violet scales now dulled and scratched. Behind her emerged a figure that made the guards collectively hiss, a human male, his brown hair matted with dry blood, his primitive clothing torn and stained. "Stand down," Zarathu commanded as her guards prepared to fire. Something in her daughter's posture, the way she positioned herself protectively near the human, gave her pause. "Mother." Kirinel's voice cracked with emotion as she rushed forward, her movement still weak from whatever ordeal she had endured. "Mother, I'm back. He saved me." The reunion was a symphony of clicks, chimes, and harmonics as mother and daughter embraced, their crystalline bodies resonating with pure joy. The human stood back respectfully, his hands raised in a universal gesture of peace, though his eyes never stopped scanning for threats. "Explain," Zarathu demanded, though her tone had softened considerably. She studied the human with newfound curiosity rather than hostility. Kirinel's account unfolded like a nightmare. Her ship had indeed been caught in a stellar storm, but it had also attracted something far worse, a devourer hive ship. The ancient enemy of all sentient life had found her drifting, helpless, and had begun the slow process of harvesting her consciousness for their collective. "I was already partially absorbed when he found me," Kirinel whispered, unconsciously touching the faded scars along her temples where the devourer tendrils had penetrated. The human Marcus, he had been tracking the hive ship for weeks. Marcus Chun stepped forward slightly, his voice rough but respectful. "Your Majesty, I know our species have ... differences, but the devourers are everyone's enemy. When I saw what they were doing to her ... he gestured toward Kirinel. "I couldn't just watch." The Queen's advisors murmured among themselves. Humans were known throughout the galaxy as warriors, yes, but also as unpredictable savages who solved problems with violence. Their reputation preceded them, a young species that had somehow survived multiple extinction events and emerged stronger. Each time. How? Zarathu asked simply. Marcus's smile was grim. Humans have a saying, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend," but sometimes we take it further. Sometimes we say, "The enemy of innocence is our enemy." Period. He looked directly at the Queen, unflinching despite the power radiating from her form. "I used my ship's nuclear reactor as a weapon, rammed it into their core systems while Princess Kirinal was still connected to their network. The feedback loop, when it exploded, it severed her connection and destroyed their ability to process what they'd taken from her." "He almost died," Kirinal added, her voice thick with gratitude. "The radiation exposure, the explosion. He spent days drifting in an escape pod, sick and wounded, just to make sure I was safe before attempting to bring me home." Zarathu studied the human with new eyes. She had heard the stories, the whispered legends that traveled between star systems. Humans who threw themselves into impossible odds for strangers. Humans who refused to yield even when victory was impossible. Humans who somehow always found a way to snatch hope from the jaws of despair. "You risked your life for my daughter," she said slowly. "A being you had never met, from a species that has shown yours nothing but suspicion. Marcus shrugged, a peculiarly human gesture. She needed help. That's all that mattered. The throne chamber fell silent, except for the harmonic humming of the queen's thoughts. Finally, she spoke, her voice carrying across the vast space with ceremonial weight. Marcus, Chun of Earth, you have returned to me that which I treasured, most in all the galaxy. By our ancient laws, this creates a debt that cannot be repaid, only honored. She paused, her crystalline form shifting through a spectrum of colors. But more than that, you have shown us what we have forgotten about. Your kind. Humans do not calculate the odds before choosing to do what is right. They simply act. She gestured to her guards, who immediately lowered their weapons and shifted to respectful blue. You will be granted safe passage to any world you choose, with our finest ship and provisions for your journey. But know this, should you ever have need, the Nexari Empire will answer your call. Marcus bowed awkwardly, unused to such formal ceremony. Thank you, Your Majesty. But honestly, seeing her home safe is payment enough. As Kirino took her place beside her mother's throne, she caught Marcus's eye and smiled an expression that translated across all species. In that moment, Zarathul understood something profound about humans that the rest of the galaxy had. Miss Dot, they were not monsters or savages. They were guardians who had simply never learned that some fights were impossible to win. And perhaps, she thought as she watched the human prepare to depart, that was exactly what the galaxy needed.